Hello, my loyal puppets. Today, we gather not just to explore submission, but to dive into one of its highest and most fulfilling expressions, service. Service is more than an action. It's a calling, a pathway to a deeper connection with your dominant, and ultimately, yourself. Within the act of service lies the potential for transformation, a journey into a unique state of bliss I like to call sublission. Sublission is not just subspace. It's a very specific, sacred euphoria that is achieved by serving your dominant in a way that makes them proud, fulfilling their needs and desires with love and care. So today, let's explore how the virtue of service can guide you to this profound state of sublission. What is sublission? Sublission is a state of pure joy and fulfillment that goes beyond the physical or mental surrender of subspace. It's a spiritual experience rooted in selfless acts of service that delight and satisfy your dominant. It's a state you can only reach through intentional, meaningful service when you give not just your body or your obedience, but your heart. This distinction matters. While subspace may be a fleeting high, sublission is an enduring connection, a moment of pride shared between you and your dominant. When you feel their pride in your service, it fuels your bliss, creating a virtuous cycle of devotion and fulfillment. Service is the cornerstone of submission, a sacred act where devotion is transformed into action. It's through service that you express your love, your trust, and your willingness to honor your dominant. Every act of service, whether grand or small, becomes a physical manifestation of your commitment and desire to please. But let's take a deeper look at what service really means. Service is not just about doing chores or following commands. It's about how you approach those actions. It's an act of mindfulness where every task is performed with care, attention, and pride. It's not about ticking off a to-do list, but about imbuing each action with purpose. When you clean, organize, or complete a task, you're not just performing a function, you're creating an offering, a gift for your dominant. Service is also about understanding and anticipating the needs of your dominant. It's about listening carefully, observing their preferences, and going the extra mile to ensure they feel seen and cared for. A true act of service goes beyond what is asked of you. It reflects your dedication and willingness to give your all. Importantly, service is not only for the benefit of your dominant, it's also deeply transformative for you as the sub. When you approach service with the right mindset, it helps you cultivate discipline, focus, and a greater awareness of your role. It encourages you to put aside distractions, center yourself, and pour your energy into something meaningful. Through service, you discover a sense of purpose that enriches your journey of submission and strengthens the bonds you share with your dominant. The beauty of service lies in its simplicity and depth. It's an act of surrender, yes, but also an act of empowerment. When you serve with pride and excellence, you're saying, I choose to honor you. I choose to give myself fully. This choice is what makes service not just a virtue, but a sacred and fulfilling practice. And it's through this practice that you can open the door to sublission, a state of bliss that arises when your dominant's pride and joy reflects back at you, magnifying your own sense of fulfillment. Service, in its truest form, is the foundation of this transformative experience. So how do you walk this path of sublission? Step 1, embrace the mindset of service. Approach every task with gratitude and humility. Service is not a chore, it is a privilege. Let go of your ego and focus on the joy of giving. Step 2, understanding your dominant's desires. Communication is the key. Listen closely to what your dominant needs and wants. Ask questions if you're unsure, and use their feedback to refine your efforts. Step 3, execute tasks with excellence. Every task is an opportunity to show your dedication. Whether it's cleaning, organizing, or fulfilling a special request, do it with care and attention. Strive for excellence, not perfection, and know that your efforts matter. Step 4, recognize and celebrate sublission. You'll know when you've reached sublission, when you feel your dominant's pride radiating back at you. This shared moment of joy is your reward, a testament to your love and devotion. Now let's take a moment to reflect on the real-life power of sublission. Hearing about others' journeys can illuminate what this state means and inspires your own path. Sublission is deeply personal, but its beauty shines brightest when shared. Consider this story. A sub named Alex starts every morning by preparing their dominant's favorite coffee. Over time, Alex learns exactly how their dominant likes it, down to the perfect temperature and the subtle sweetness they enjoy. Each day, Alex takes pride in the small act of service, putting their heart into every cup. One morning, after handing the coffee to their dominant, they notice a smile of pure satisfaction. Their dominant says, "You've perfected this. I love how much care you put into it." In that moment, Alex feels a wave of pride and fulfillment, a deep sense of connection that brings them closer to their dominant. That's sublission, a shared moment of joy where effort meets recognition. Another example comes from a sub named Taylor, who was asked to organize their dominant's workspace. At first, Taylor felt overwhelmed by the task, unsure if they could meet their dominant's standards. But through communication and dedication, they approached the project step by step, always keeping their dominant's preferences in mind. When the task was complete, their dominant expressed pride and admiration for their effort, saying, "This is exactly what I needed. You've made my day so much easier." Taylor felt not just relieved, but a profound sense of accomplishment, knowing their service had made their dominant's life better. This pride in a job well done, coupled with their dominant's satisfaction, brought Taylor to a euphoric state of sublission. From the dominant's perspective, these moments are just as meaningful. One dominant shared how their sub's attention to detail in preparing surprise dinners left them feeling deeply valued. It wasn't just the meal, the dominant told me. It was knowing they thought of everything. My favorite dish, the candles I love, the playlist that makes me smile. It showed me how much they care, and that brought us closer than ever. For this goddess, the joy of seeing her sub's devotion created an unbreakable bond. Sublission is not just about grand gestures. It's about the love and effort you put into the acts of service, no matter how small. It's the pride you feel when you know you've pleased your dominant, and the joy that comes from the recognition of your care. Let these testimonies remind you that sublission is attainable for anyone willing to walk the path of service. Each act, when done with intention and love, brings you closer to that transformative state. Whether it's brewing the perfect cup of coffee, completing a challenging task, or surprising your dominant with a thoughtful gesture, sublission is within your reach. All it takes is dedication, mindfulness, and the willingness to give yourself fully. The journey to sublission is not without its difficulties. Like any meaningful pursuit, there will be moments of doubt, fear, and frustration. But it's precisely these challenges that offer opportunities for growth, strengthening your commitment, and deepening your connection to your dominant. Let's explore some common obstacles and how to overcome them. One of the most significant challenges is self-doubt. You might find yourself thinking, what if I'm not enough? What if my service doesn't meet their expectations? This fear of inadequacy can be paralyzing, but it's important to remember that perfection is not the goal. Intention and effort are. Sublission is not achieved by flawless execution, but your willingness to serve with love and dedication, as well as a desire to go above and beyond. When doubts arise, take a step back and remind yourself why you serve. Reflect on the joy your service brings to your dominant and the connection it fosters between you. Another common obstacle is miscommunication. Perhaps you complete a task only to realize it wasn't exactly what your dominant had envisioned. These moments can feel disheartening, but they are also opportunities to learn and improve. Communication is the cornerstone of any DS dynamic, and misunderstandings are a natural part of that process. Approach these situations with humility and curiosity. Instead of seeing them as failures, treat them as chances to ask questions, clarify expectations, and strengthen your bond. Remember, your dominant values your effort and wants to see you succeed just as much as you do. Time and energy can also be barriers. Life is busy, and balancing your responsibilities outside the dynamic with your commitments to service can sometimes feel overwhelming. When this happens, prioritize quality over quantity. A single, thoughtful act of service performed with care is far more meaningful than a dozen rushed gestures. Communicate openly with your dominant about your capacity, and don't be afraid to ask for guidance in managing your time and energy effectively. Another challenge many subs face is fear of vulnerability. Serving your dominant requires you to open yourself fully, to give without reservation. This can be intimidating, especially if you're worried about being judged or not meeting expectations. However, it's important to remember that vulnerability is a strength, not a weakness. It's through this openness that your true connection and trust are built. Trust that your dominant appreciates your effort and values you as their sub. Lastly, there may be moments when you feel your efforts go unnoticed or unappreciated. This can be one of the hardest challenges to face, but it's important to approach it with patience and perspective. Dominants, too, have busy lives and may not always express their appreciation as often or as clearly as you'd like. If this happens, consider communicating your feelings in a respectful and open way. Share how much the recognition means to you and how it motivates your service. Often, this simple conversation can realign your dynamic and rekindle the joy of serving. Overcoming these challenges requires resilience, self-reflection, and a willingness to grow. Remember, each obstacle is an opportunity to strengthen your submission, deepen your connection to your dominant, and move closer to sublission. Keep your heart open, your mind focused, and your intentions pure. With patience and dedication, you will find that your journey itself is just as rewarding as the destination. Service is more than a virtue. It's a way to honor your role as a sub and strengthen the bond with your dominant. Through service, you find purpose, pride, and the unparalleled joy of sublission. And as you do, remember this: may your service be pure, your tasks done with pride, and your journey towards sublission bring you and your dominant infinite joy. Thank you so much for joining me today, my sweet puppets. If this sermon resonates with you, share your thoughts or experiences in the comments. Let's grow together on this beautiful path of service. Until next time, stay devoted, stay mindful, and stay proud of your service. Like, subscribe, let me know in the comments what you'd like to hear about in my next Sunday sermon. And if you like these videos, consider becoming my patron at patreon.com/goddessjewels, link in the description. Thank you so much to all of my patrons, but an extra special big thank you to CC, Alan Weaver, Jorgen Iverson, Jay Regaz, Cody, Nikki, and Beyonce. Thank you so much for your support and for helping make these videos possible. You mean the world to me.